I am live. We are trying to go live with Abhishek Gupta on Catch Up Times, and I think I realized what the issue was. But nonetheless, I am live, and I'm hoping that Abhishek joins me soon. I'll tell you a little bit about what Catch Up Times is all about, since my followers need to also know what it's about. Let me just adjust this here quick. Okay, so basically, Catch Up Times is in an interesting chat show, or it's actually an interview. So talking to people about their achievements and what they do specifically to kind of get motivation, get tips from in achieving success in your lives. So I think he's just joined.
Hi Srinivas, how are you?
Hi, hi. Finally, we made this
Finally,
happen.
we are live, and it's great
That's
that
great.
you were telling something about great things about Catch Up Times. Since quite
Yes,
a
of
lot
course.
of your colleagues have graced the show, and it's been a great show. Having
Yep,
you
yep.
coming and supporting this cause. And that too my very first episode of
So
season
happy,
two
man.
for 2020, and
Yeah.
it feels great, to be
Yes.
having you on board, and you would be sharing some really great insights about your personal transformation,
Nice.
which happened last year. So,
For sure.
Srinivas, my first question to you is, how were you, able to, come out of that comfort zone, and, you lost 18 kgs within
Mm-hmm.
span of 6 months. How did you do that?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. I will talk about that. But just for your viewers, your audience, a little bit about myself before I get into that.
Sure.
So I'm Srinivas. I'm an entrepreneur and a public speaker and a fitness buff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the digital marketing space for the last 10 plus years, and I've been working on personal growth in the last couple of years. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I decided to do Catch Up Times with Abhishek was a because he brings so many interesting people from all walks of life. I've been following his show and his uh, first season, and some of my friends have also been on Catch Up Times. In fact, thanks Deepak for recommending my name to Abhishek. So if you are watching or if you're tuned in, big thank you. So yeah, I'm also a public speaker. I've recently kind of taken on that as a breakthrough of mine. But professionally, I head HR at this company called Connect, which is one of India's largest digital marketing agencies, independent. My job and my role is to kind of work on human resources, making people the biggest asset of the organization, and of course helping them learn, train, and grow. So which is why it falls in my domain to have this personal goal of being fit or doing something that kind of drives and motivates myself, so that I can help other people as well. So coming back to your first question, what
Yeah,
helped me drive that personal growth of a losing 18 kgs?
18
It's
kgs.
not just about losing the weight. It was also about having a rounded experience in terms of personal growth, in terms of health, on fitness, in terms of physical, mental, as well as spiritual growth. That's something which happened. How it happened was very simple. My CEO Rohan Mehta, he took a few of us connectors to one of these very interesting events. It's like a personal growth and transformation festival in a paradise location. So we went to Goa for a 3 day boot camp, and it is a global event, right? So there are people from various countries. There are speakers who kind of gave really amazing insights on nutrition, on health. We did breath work. We did a lot of subconscious reprogramming, personal development exercises, which kind of pushed us to have these breakthroughs. And so one of my starts or my beginning was that breakthrough we had in that event. And I made like this whole goal. So they make you do this video called holy shit video. What you do is you project yourself into the next 6 months and already talk about what you have achieved in the last 6 months. So you're in the future and you
Mm-hmm.
made these goals. That's something which I did, and I stuck to it every single day. First thing I did was obviously go to the gym to have some physical activity, and then obviously learned a lot of really interesting things about physical as well as the food that we eat, right? So the diet that we maintain, that is something which I took a lot of learnings from, and a bunch of other things like sleep, water, intermittent fasting, so many things that I did not know or did not care about before going to that event. I kind of started practicing day in, day out, and I started getting results in the first month itself. So yeah, I mean that breakthrough was all thanks to that event that we went to.
So that was the change in your mindset which that event brought. So that was
Yes,
very it was a need of the hour for you to have that kind of kick which one needs
yep,
to start something and to maintain that, because
yep.
maintaining is very difficult.
That's true.
you
That's
know
true.
we have many gym freaks who start on the 1st of January, and then they somehow they lose their track or lose their path. Why does
Correct.
this happen? Because you have been
Yeah.
doing this for the past year, and
Huh.
so you would be the right
Of course.
person to shed some light on
So,
that.
so honestly, what I feel is that everybody has a different level of acceptance in terms of what they need to do. Okay, a lot of our thinking, a lot of our beliefs are driven by what our motivation factors are. To me, the motivation factor was not obviously just to look good or to feel good. It was also about, you know, an all round personal health and wellness kind of journey, right? Before I went for that event, I had done a full, test like a body checkup and my blood test and everything. So, I got to know that I had really high cholesterol levels.
Okay.
And when I actually went to that event, we did these morning exercises and activities, and I was like, hey, let me choose yoga because I know that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that fit, but I can at least do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
When I started doing yoga, I realized I really, really was bad at even yoga. So, like, and yoga, to give its due credit, it is not as easy as people think. It's definitely a
Think.
lot of exercise for the body. And but I was under the impression that hey, I don't want to do heavy workout, CrossFit exercises. Just let's do
Mm-hmm.
yoga. And that's when I really realized I couldn't even bend my hands and touch my toes. And that I was that
Mm-hmm.
fat. I had like a huge belly, and I had a very bad routine, bad habits. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's late nights, whether it's not having enough water, all of these, and then having conversations with a bunch of people, learning from their journey, learning from their exercises, that helped me understand. And what I think
Mm-hmm.
is important is if you have to have a sustained journey, you have to ensure that you start doing that something that is capable, that you think, oh, I don't want to do everything right from day one. First week, you just start with small exercises. You can even start with 10-minute cardio exercises. You could go for a walk, you could go for a run. And once you start benefiting from those small things that you do, even in your diet for that matter, small changes make a huge difference. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
started doing. I ate everything. I just reduced carbs. Like I only, instead of having chapati, I had, a jawar roti, which is much healthier. Not having sweet, just gave up on sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol I reduced to, once a week, then once a month, so on and so forth. So start with small steps and then it will help you sustain. And one of the things that I was recently listening to a podcast, one of the things that a lot of highly successful people do is they start with a great morning routine. Okay, if you are a morning person, great. If you're an evening person, then make sure that you have that routine and you stick to that routine, even if it means 5-minute workout or a 5-minute exercise or a 5-minute meditation for that matter. I started meditating the first time this year, and that helped me a lot because it kind of reprogrammed a lot of my thinking to kind of believe in doing exercise, or your mind to be trained to kind of be that person who I want to be every single day. So that was like one of the very interesting things that happened for my growth, and I sustained over a period of time. Even today, yes, there are down days, or times when I don't work out for few days, times when I
Mm-hmm.
eat, I have my cheat days, but then I'm mindful of how to compensate for it, so that in the long run it helps.
So it's more of a personal, more than to look good. It was like your to feel good inner self. That is very much
Yeah,
important when you lose weight,
correct.
because I have had that same journey which you had this year, the previous
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I
I know
also
you told
was,
me about your
yeah,
journey.
yeah, 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 yeah. It was like the same. I made changes in my routine. As not an alcoholic, because I stay in a dry state, so can't
Yes.
have alcohol. So,
Well,
but it takes
yeah.
balls, to just
Not that you don't get
accept that.
alcohol there, but yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but even you, it takes balls to accept that you used to be, was high on alcohol, I
Correct.
would say, used to drink every day. But it had a bad impact on you, and you could sense that, and you can see that, because when once you were around with your fellow colleagues, or with the entrepreneurs of your age, you could see their health in your health. So I think that would be the one which could have motivated you, and that boot camp also would have been, uh, you know,
True.
have been an eye opener, like how you can
It's a
live a
breakthrough,
better
yes.
life. Yeah, a
For sure, for
breakthrough, I
sure.
can say. For And
Yeah.
you have been a travel buff, I can say, because I have seen your couple of Instagram photographs, and it's having a huge chain of places which you have covered during the last 2 or 3 years. So tell me, how did travel blogging attracted you?
Sure. Yeah, so actually, I've been a travel blogger for about 10 years now.
Okay.
Though I would say in the last few years, my traveling has reduced to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 2020, one of our resolutions, me and my partner, we want to definitely travel a lot more than we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
So travel, I think one of the reasons why I started travel blogging, so always interested in writing for sure, but I wanted to travel to different parts of the country, the world, to kind of get a broader horizon. So I read this book called Namesake, and that's when this thought kind of got incepted, I would believe, where the protagonist is having a conversation in a train with somebody who tells him. Now, this book is set in early 60s or 70s. I don't remember. The protagonist talks to him about how travel helps you broaden your horizon, and that kind of stuck to me. Like they say, right? To be well traveled is to be well read, and the vice versa. So I started doing that because I wanted to broaden my horizon. I wanted to eventually write a book. I have written a book, but it's unpublished yet. So
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to write, I wanted to have a broader horizon of people, experiences, learnings, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I started traveling and travel blogging. So I've been to over 300 destinations within India and some parts of Southeast Asia and Europe. And every time I go travel, one of the things I keep in mind is I'm traveling for experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
really do not care about luxury and comfort. Once every while, obviously nowadays with technology and Airbnb and so many things accessible, you do get a decent amount of luxury in a good price. So I keep
Mm-hmm.
doing that. But one of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
why I travel is to find people, stories, journeys. I've also recently done a series called Inspiring Tales from India. I've released about 4 or 5 episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
those are videos where I talk about some really really inspirational people I've met in the corner of this country, like in the Himalayas, or in Rajasthan, in Darjeeling, and there's so much inspiration hidden out there. And I think one of my aspirations eventually is to write a book about my sojourns and my travel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think meeting new people, interesting stories, they kind of help me go out there to seek more.
Travel has become a business. Traveling means exposure to a whole lot of world which we have not seen, which we have not exposed to. Traveling means, you know, experiencing the luxuries which we don't experience here in India.
True,
People
true.
travel to
That's
see huge skyscrapers, mountains and all those stuff. That's what traveling to them means. But for you,
yeah.
traveling is a different aspect altogether. It's an
It is.
important organ of your body, I can say that.
Yeah, it's
Right?
integrated to me. See, see,
Yeah.
one of the things that also got me excited a lot way back when, in 2008. Of course, my first trip was like, huh, let's go to Goa. Then I went to
Mm-hmm.
Rajasthan. But the
Mm-hmm.
first time I stepped into the Himalayas in 2010, or I think it was 11, um,
Mm-hmm.
I was for sure like in love with that place, and I said, hey, this is gonna be my home someday. And ever since 2010, 10, 11, I've been going to the Himalayas every single year. And I realized, the kind of beauty that it has, and the kind of mystery and the magnanimous, life that you can live by being so, minimalistic. It's not even funny. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I have also started practicing in my real life, outside of my, like the wandering or pondering life that I have in terms of traveling,
Mm-hmm.
is when I'm back in the city,
Mm-hmm.
I've made sure that I'm living a very minimalistic life in terms of requirements, luxuries, or for that
Mm-hmm.
matter, even my house. If you come to
Mm-hmm.
my house, you will realize that I barely have any furniture. I kind of
Okay.
have this one couch, one mattress, a therapy bed, and that's about it. Uh, so you have a lot of space, clears your mind, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
decluttering. That's something which I believe people in the mountains do a lot. They
Mm-hmm.
believe in the bare essentials that you require. I mean, of course, there are huge mansions in the mountains too, but I think if I have to have a huge sustainable life in the Himalayas, I'd rather not put money into things. I'd put money into experiences and save the
Mm-hmm.
remaining money for my life in the mountains. So I think that kind of helps set a really good tone in terms of how I want to see, grow as a person eventually.
So you have given a great insight about your journey as a traveler. You started from 2008 and still it's going great. And I hope 2020 also brings some new
For
locations where
sure.
you have not traveled, where you have not been,
Yep.
and you are able to share those experiences with us, because a travel blogger like you who
That's
speaks
the
so
hope.
much truth about, yeah, yeah. So I hope you explore other areas. I believe you would explore in the coming years, and we would be looking forward to seeing that, because I think
For sure.
whatever I have seen from your Instagram feeds and posts, it's so much pure, it's so much real, the way you depict, the way you show what you have seen yourself from your own
Exactly.
eyes, from your own words. I have seen couple of your rushes from the Himalayas, and they were like, oh, photography at its best. The vibe of that place is captured particularly very well with your lenses, and I believe you're a great photographer as well.
I don't know about
Looking at
that. People do say that,
that.
but I'm more of a storyteller. I
Mm-hmm.
like I have a blog shrinistuff.com which I haven't written on for a while. I think that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing I'm going to do this year. Write more of
Yeah.
my travel blogs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I believe I'm more of a storyteller than a photographer. Photography is just the byproduct that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think stories is something which I want to tell, and I want to kind of give a lot of experiences now that I know known a new format. Now video is becoming more important, so I would rather blogs I will do, of course, but I'll also do a lot more videos, hopefully in the mountains and about the
Mm-hmm.
mountains, or about the different places that I visit. That's one of my goals this year as well, to do a lot more videos, a lot more content about travel, about fitness, about personal growth, so on and so forth.
During this conversation, I have just come across to know that you are a minimalist yourself, as you are proudly proclaiming it, which is a good thing because I am also a minimalist. Uh,
Great.
three, let's say since past 5 years, I have cut all this unwanted things which do come into my house in the sense
Uh,
of gifts, and
True.
things which I don't use. I should not buy those things. But there are people who buy things thinking that, oh, I might need that in future, right? Those are premature evaluations which a person
Right.
does with their
Right.
finances. So I
I
have
think
been
a lot has
associated.
to do. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah.
No, a lot has to do with this hoarding mentality that the world has, the materialistic hoarding mentality that, hey, if I don't have all of these things, something happens in the future. How will I sustain? How will I survive? So, while being a minimalist, I also believe in being a survivalist. So, you should
Mm-hmm.
have the most important things that you need. Let's assume, hypothetically, people have talked about Armageddon and whatnot. I've like
Mm-hmm.
so people think that oh, having all these material wealth, that is never going to help you. What's going to help you
Mm-hmm.
is your life skills to be a survivalist. So I will come to that, of course, as we talk about. I think you have a
Hmm.
couple of questions around it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think
but
that's
people are
maintained.
people are naive because at a young age we are so much caught up with when we see other people having all those luxury cars, luxury bikes, vintage things, show pieces that somehow attracts our mind
Keeping up
towards
with the
their
Joneses.
success.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just want to be like them without knowing our own inspirations, our own self. Like, do we really need those things? So that's what being a minimalist, I have understood. And I've been associated with one of your friends, cause as well as a minimalist, Achal
yeah,
Junjunwala. She runs
yes,
a
yes,
page on
of
WhatsApp.
course.
So I've been associated with her as well. And it's been great that she's doing a great work of spreading this message
Yep.
of minimalism. So
Yeah.
now
And what
coming
better,
back
like
to,
she understands
yep,
that more than anybody else because she also knows finance. So
yeah.
minimalism and finance and they go hand in hand, so to speak. How to manage your
Yeah,
money so that
the
you
same
save enough.
one I did one. Yeah, I did one video with her on the same issue of on
Nice.
minimalism. It was a Facebook chat, and we focused on the same thing, like why time and money should both complement each other. It should not.
Absolutely.
If it won't complement, then the minimalism purpose is reduced to zero.
Right.
That is more
Right.
important.
So
So,
there's a difference
yeah,
between abundance and there's a difference between splurging and having what you really don't even need. So that yeah,
yeah.
cool.
So that is the thing. Yeah. You said you are a storyteller, you are a speaker. So, your association with Speakers Institute. Now, Speakers Institute is one of the renowned institutes where they train public speakers and take speaking to a whole different height. So,
Yeah.
how has been your association with them?
Yeah, that was very interesting because right after the life plugin boot camp that I had, the first time around when I went in April, my major goal was obviously personal growth in terms of physical fitness and mental
Mm-hmm.
fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I started meditating, I started doing, like working out, having a better diet, all of these things. Now, this event happens every 6 months. So,
Mm-hmm.
after seeing so many results, after being appreciated among like 200 odd people, people sharing their stories about how they are motivated because of my journey, and I feel good about it also. But at the same time, I'm happy that I'm able to kind of contribute in some way or the other. The second time the event happened was when one of my personal quests or my personal breakthroughs was to kind of work on my public speaking skills. Now, in the past, I've had challenges where I couldn't articulate myself, or rather, I was a very, very elaborate speaker. Still am. I still am working on it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not to be direct, not to be crisp, being long winded, taking a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of happened in one of the events that I did. I addressed a huge crowd, and I kind of wasn't really great. I bombed, I would say. And that's when I had this
Okay.
personal goal to kind of work on my public speaking skills. And I know it's a scientific thing. It's not necessarily. Some people are obviously gifted; they have the gift of gab. But at the same time, you also can work towards becoming a better communicator, a better public speaker. Everybody watches TED Talks nowadays, and everybody
Yeah.
knows how that conversation is. And there is so much of stand up happening in this country as well. Stand up comedy has taken out, and
Yeah.
there are different expressions and different means. So I was like, hey, if I have to kind of be able to contribute more in terms of my learnings, my journey, and have a sustainable future in the Himalayas one fine day, I need to know how to communicate with people, and not just one to one, but one to many. Right? Eventually, that's something which I want to do. I've been a corporate trainer in the
Mm-hmm.
past, and I've been doing fairly well then. But I realized that there's a lot more to public speaking than just being delivering pre-made content or to be able to deliver whatever you have prepared for. So that's when I was surfing the internet, going through a lot of websites, Udemy courses, and this and that. But I realized
Mm-hmm.
there's no one-to-one or like a really integrated experience in this. Like an offline experience, because that helps a lot getting personal
Mm-hmm.
feedback directly from coaches and so on and so forth.
Yes.
When this video popped up on my Facebook feed of this guy called Sam Cawthon, who's the
Caught on.
founder of Speakers Institute. He's an Australian, part Indian also. His mother was Indian, I guess.
Oh,
He
okay.
lost he lost one of his arms in a driving accident, and post that he essentially started talking about how he had that experience and what kind of gave him a breakthrough to do something of his life. So what he did, he actually took all the money that he had from his insurance due to that accident, invested in himself to become a great public speaker. He's a TED speaker as well, and he
Mm.
also curated a few tribes and communities with one of the favorite companies that I follow, Mind Valley. So he has been a public speaker, a coach, a mentor to many people, and he does these workshops across different countries: Australia, Singapore, India. He comes every 6 months in Mumbai or Delhi. These boot camps that happen. So I went for his one-day event, which was like a free event. You just had to pay for the food, I guess. And he kind of just encapsulated his array of communication, and he was like, the audience was hooked. Like he engaged the audience to such a great extent that you I made that decision. Anyways, it was my journey to kind of
Mhm.
work on my public speaking skills. I said, hey,
Mhm.
you know what, I'm going to sign up for your boot camp, and I paid the money down up front, and I did not hesitate in taking that decision. And I went for a weekend boot camp, which was a very intensive boot camp, a 3 day boot camp, 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. And after that, you go on and practice, and you go on and do a little bit of homework, as you call it, and
Mhm.
then come back, get feedback from coaches who are renowned international coaches. There are people from India as well.
Mhm.
You are in the middle of 50 to 60 people taking the
Mhm.
stage. Some people have the fright of public speaking or taking up a stage. There are a lot of methodologies. There's a lot of research that goes behind what he's done, and that's something which helped a lot of us in the community with bettering our communication skills, and I can truly see a lot of results. So that
Mhm.
journey kind of was very, very interesting for me, and I think it's going to continue. We have our own tribe. Every month
Yeah.
we meet up, and every month we have a theme. We talk about it. I mean, a lot of you guys might have heard of Toastmasters,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there are many other communities worldwide. So we are also one of those communities where we meet up every month, and try to better and hone our skills. And eventually, the aspiration for a lot of us is to take some global stage at whatever domain, in whatever work that we follow, and maybe a TED talk or a TEDx talk. That's something
Next
which
stop.
everybody aspires to.
Great journey. Speakers Institute has been a premier institute in honing the skills of public speaking when it comes, because people still have no idea about what public speaking is. People, they do watch a lot of stuff on Netflix, on YouTube, when they see stand-ups doing that, but there's a whole lot of effort which goes on
Preparation.
behind the scenes, and preparation goes on, and I can
Right.
see the results. Like, how are you communicating? There is a way, there is a difference of how you communicate, and that one can see, and one can experience when you are talking to someone who is quite
True.
experienced in voicing their opinions, being a renowned public speaker. So I think I have seen
I
couple
don't
of
know about
videos,
renowned
couple of
yet, but yeah, I think it's a
but yeah,
journey,
you
it's a
will, you will,
process.
you will.
As they
Yeah.
say in our community, the speakers tribe, the best is yet to come. So we always have
Yeah.
that belief. We trust the process. The best is yet to come, and we keep on doing it every single day.
But I haven't seen you, mingling every month with the speakers tribe, because I do follow, I kind of follow them a lot.
Hmm.
So whenever they meet up, they, just release their video of, people speaking
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So is it like you're,
So
missing out on that?
I have my videos released a little later because I do subtitling as well. So if you go and
Okay.
check my Instagram TV, you'll see 4 videos from our speakers tribe that we've done so far. We've had 4 meetings. Though
Okay.
what happens is you might see their videos all at once together, and mine is not released because I take some
Yeah.
time to get it subtitled and then I release it, and I did like an edit and then do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And last time when we met, I did not release that particular video because I did my own the same content, but I did my own
Mm-hmm.
home video, which I released exactly 21 days before the 1st of Jan, talking
Okay.
about how to actually achieve your New Year's resolutions, and giving a little bit of very interesting. That's like a 12-minute talk If you want to check it out on my IGTV, I have given a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of tips from my journey, my learning, my
Mm-hmm.
experience of the 6 months weight loss and fitness. It
Mm-hmm.
took a little bit time, so that's why you might have not seen.
Yeah, yeah. I just recently started following Speakers Institute like 6 months back, and
Great.
it's been I have inspired a lot myself, and I'm trying to hone my skills as well. So hopefully to 2020, I think my best is yet to come. So
Yes.
yeah, that's a great punchline and tagline which
Yes.
Speakers Institute have, and that I resonate quite well with that.
For
So
sure, man.
it's
That's
been
life.
an incredible, I think, from your perspective, it's been an incredible 2019, which we have seen, and hope 2020 brings a lot of new heights. You scale new
Yep.
heights,
Yep.
and we definitely. I'm going to follow your videos and your travel diaries. Which is going
Thanks,
to
man.
take us more closer to nature and to the aspects which we have never ever seen. You know, so
That definitely is the hope. I definitely want to do that.
yeah.
I think 2020 for me is there are a lot of things happening on both
Mm-hmm.
professional as well as personal front. 2020, the theme for me is going to be balance. More often than none, when we are caught up in our, you know, let's say whether it's a corporate life, entrepreneurial life, intrapreneurial
Mm-hmm.
life, I
Mm-hmm.
call myself an intrapreneur because I believe I
What's
may not
the
have.
meaning of entrepreneur? I have never heard that word. What is entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I came across this particular term way back when I started reading Seth Godin.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of. He's a public speaker. He's a
Mm-hmm.
renowned personality in the U.S. He's written a bunch of books about marketing, about a lot of other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So specifically marketing, one of his very interesting book is Tribes and Permission Marketing. But this guy
Mm-hmm.
talked about how every firm has this, not one, many actually,
Mm-hmm.
linchpins. So his book is called Linchpin. Now,
Linchpins.
yes, so he talks about how in the previous industrial era, when actually people started having a clock work style, in a sense, punch in, punch out, because of Ford. In the industrial era, Ford wanted to manufacture a lot more cars, so they wanted their employees or their workers to be efficient in terms of time management, just doing the monotonous, laborious job. So they used to punch in and punch out and clock in hours, right? But in today's information age, that era is completely out. Everybody who works in the digital age has and should have the ability to have the flexibility of work from home, on the go, to do stuff that matters for the company, as if you are the owner of the company. So the intrapreneur is actually an entrepreneur within a company, right?
Okay.
That's why it's called an intrapreneur. He's
Right.
not a cog in the machine who's punching in, punching out, and going home. He's someone who brings a lot of value because his opinion is respected, and his the culture itself is such that he's able to deliver a lot more if he has that freedom of making a lot of decisions. We have this
Mm-hmm.
one, we have this something called as Kinect code. One of the Kinect code is exercise autonomy. So you might have a certain job role, but beyond the job
Mm-hmm.
role, you might have to sometimes take decisions without your supervisor's help. How good are you at that? It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
fail, but if you are doing that, and you're failing and you're learning and you're growing, then there's nothing like that. So being an entrepreneur, that's something which helps, and that's why this whole everybody is doing something or the other to kind of grow, to earn riches, to earn satisfaction, to earn fame, earn growth. But a lot of the times, because of social media, because of digital marketing, being very very prevalent, everybody's hooked on to the social channels, which is great if you want to connect and broaden your horizon. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, people tend to kind of sacrifice on a lot of personal time growth. I struggle with it myself. I'm not the one who's going to preach. I am not,
Mm-hmm.
definitely I'm not the kind of guy who's always on social detox. That's great, and I can't.
Mm-hmm.
At this moment, I don't think I can. But what I feel we can do is have a balance. All right. Now, the balance does not necessarily mean that, oh, that means I'll only work 9 to 5, or I will only be available online between that time when I'm at work. Balance
Mhm.
means how you are making your priorities and choosing. You can work as hard as you want. If you watch Gary Vee, he will talk
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
how, millennials are, being entitled in a certain way where they're saying, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want to achieve. But working equally hard for your goals is also important. So you need to define what your understanding of your work life balance is, or what your understanding of balance in life is in general. And if you start with that small step, that will become easier for you to follow this. Like, if you think you cannot do a workout every single day, go work out 3 days, 2 days, whatever. It's
Mhm.
completely up to you. If you think you cannot do weights, okay, do cardio, do walking, do breathing, for that matter. So you need to find that right balance for yourself, and it's never going to be perfect. That's something which I realize. It's never going to be perfect. You have to just keep on striving hard to find that balance, and there's the fun in that, right? I mean, if everything was perfect, you would get bored, right? You have
Yeah.
to strive, and there will be challenges. I've gone through a lot of them in my life, but that's what has made me a better person. A lot of people talk about it, but yeah, sometimes you have to walk the talk.
Yeah. True. True. Because social media, what you do on social media is also equally important. There are people
Yes.
who do a lot of shit happens on social media. There are a lot of people who are of the opinion, oh, social media is a distraction. No, for me, social media has been a boon. I was not a person who was trusting social media before. Social media has been a boon this year. I was not a person who was trusting social media before. I never used to network. I never used to believe that social media can be an important aspect of our life. It can be, but it was all of a fun side, which I always thought that social media
Yeah.
brings in. But no, social media brings in a lot of motivation. Whom you follow,
True. True.
what are your aspirations, what is your
Hmm.
thinking, that also comes into picture when you are on social media. So social media is not distracting at all. I took that thing out of my mind this year, and I'm also going to channelize my energy on how to make my experience as a user on social media a better one.
That's great, man.
Right.
That's awesome.
So for me,
That's
that
great.
has been the takeaway point I had from 2019, and hope so.
Good.
I would like to continue with that endeavor of mine till
Oh, sure, man.
2020
All
as
the
well.
all the very best for that. I think it's
Yeah.
going to only be upwards from here on. The best is yet to come,
Yet to come. Yeah.
like the
As you
believers.
say. Yeah.
Right, right.
So it's been an incredible interview with you. I would say it's a conversation,
Thank
Srini.
you.
It was
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
that
yeah, of course.
I was able to know a lot of about you, a lot of stuff which
Thanks
I
for having
wanted
me,
to
man.
know.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a privilege, certainly starting of the year, starting of the month. It's been such a cracker of an interview where, we had someone who had the balls, who had the guts to, share his past, and that too at an entrepreneur level when people are scared even to talk about themselves and express to a person whom they don't know. So thanks for being so straight. Thanks for being so much on the money and, making this program a touch higher with your experience and with your guidance. So
Anytime,
I'll
man.
be
Anytime.
always indebted to you for this. And before
For
I let
sure.
you
We should
go,
do this again as well. I know. I mean,
of
this
course,
is good. Excellent.
if you are there, then we can have a series of interviews, taking every year, every year you might have learned something, you might have lost
For
something.
sure.
But hey, let's just unwind that year and, just come again and share it. How does that sound
For
to
sure.
you?
Sounds good. Excellent.
Yeah, great. So here we are on the very end of the show, but I have got five rapid fire questions for you. I told you
Okay,
that
I'm on
I'm
the
not
hot
going to
seat
leave you.
now.
Yeah, yeah, you are on the hot seat, and I'm going to
All
ask you a
right.
very hot questions,
Okay.
which
Let's
you
bring
can.
it on. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have traveled a lot, traveled all the mostly 4 5 continents have you have traveled. Which is your favorite place out of these which you think, oh, I would like to go again and again, apart from Himalayas?
I was just gonna say Himalayas, but yeah. So
Yeah.
apart from Himalayas, one of my very, very This place is so close to my heart because it has some history. Hampi
Mm-hmm.
in
Hampi,
Karnataka.
Karnataka.
Yes. So I've also one thing which I've not spoken about is I'm also a very big fan of how cultures and society and history existed way back in the 13th century, 10th century, or even before that. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
read a lot of interesting scriptures and interesting books on mythology. So that's something which I've taken interest in. I've done a bar camp
Mm-hmm.
talk about yesterday's technology is today's mythology. That's something which
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken of. Hampi fascinates me because it's these are these ruins of the 13th, 14th Krishna Dev Raya kingdom.
Yeah.
If you guys know Tenali Rama,
Tenali Rama, yeah.
yes, so
Yeah.
he was a a very intelligent advisor to Krishna
Advisor.
Dev Raya, and Krishna Dev Raya kind of it is something which is historic. The Cholas, the Hoysalas,
Cholas,
they did
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
trade with European countries, traded spices for jewelry, gold, and so on and so forth. So this place, Hampi, I've been to at least 6, 7 times. It also is sort of my hometown in a way where 10 to 12 kilometers from there there's a place which is my mother's religious place of worship of sorts. But I'm more of a a spiritual person. I'm more of a nature lover, and I love the terrain, the beauty, the mountains, and the sunset. So Hampi is one place that I can always go to.
Great, great, great. That it's great that you are connected to your roots, which many people are not in today's time, and it's important to be connected to your roots.
Yeah.
You
The
feel a
beauty
sense
of
of
it is there's very
belongingness.
little internet there. If you go there, you
Ah,
are
yeah.
off internet mostly.
You're off to the social, media thing, and you are there on your own, so you feel your own
Correct.
way.
Yep.
Having
Yep.
that nature. Second question: you have been a big music lover, right? You have featured
Yep.
in the U2. You have been a you have recently went to the U2 concert, right? It was the one of the biggest concerts
Yeah, I've
which
attended a
happened in
bunch of
India.
concerts. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but that was the most sought after concert which happened in India
Yep.
after
Yep.
quite a
And
lot
it
of
did
time.
not
Quite,
disappoint.
yeah, 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 yeah. Which is your favorite music band? I give you two options. Is it the U2 or is it the Linkin Park?
You two any day, and come on. I mean, I love Chester
Okay,
in Linkin
Chester.
Park, but
Yeah.
I would still. You two has a lot more. Like I mean, Linkin Park was very early on, and for everybody, I think Linkin Park must have been very early on. But there was this time when I used to listen to radio, only radio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my 10th standard, there was no television. You know how it is, right? With parents, no
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you, no television means you will study more. So there was
yeah,
no
yeah,
television during my 10th, 11th standard or whatever. Uh,
yeah.
so then I used to just listen to All India Radio 107.1 FM. I was so
Mm-hmm.
fascinated by it that I started listening to retro classics, and I used to listen to YouTube a lot back
Mm-hmm.
then.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been following them for last 23 years. And I was so fortunate to have been into this concert after 23 years of listening to them. So any
Mm-hmm.
given day, YouTube, man, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah, great. My third one. You were a big foodie back then. So which is that one
I am
cuisine
a
you
big
would like
foodie.
to go? But the weight loss transformation might be there on
So
your
what?
mind, when you see the food,
Yeah, but I still
right?
food is food, right? You have to
Yeah,
make choices when to eat what and how much. Anyway, yeah, you
great,
were
great.
saying.
Yeah, so which one is your favorite cuisine? Is it the Japanese or like the Chinese? I think both are a bit similar, but I would ask your opinion on that.
Actually, neither, because meaning I do have like I've authentic Japanese I've eaten, authentic Chinese also I've eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I can't really
Kind of
say.
difficult choice. Very
Difficult choice.
difficult choice. So
Okay, I'll
which
go
one
with
is your
Japanese.
favorite?
I'll go with Japanese.
Okay. I
Because a
thought
lot of the
because of sushi you might have given Japanese a
now I'm
hands up.
vegetarian. Now I'm vegetarian, but
Okay.
still there will be a lot of vegetarian options
Mm-hmm.
even in Japanese food. And I've tried sake. Sake is beautiful, even from an alcohol standpoint. Sake, warm sake is really really amazing.
No, it's the first time I'm hearing something called sake. Is it an alcohol?
Sake is an alcoholic drink in Japan, very famous.
Okay.
Typically, you should have it warm. You can have it chilled as
Mm-hmm.
well, but a lot of Japanese drink sake. Sake is like their most popular drink in Japan.
Okay. The next one
Yeah,
is
my
which is
in-laws
the
had
work.
gone to Japan, and
Okay.
they had gotten some sake, and I had it, so it was very good.
Yeah. So is it strong or is it like okay? Like we can have one or two thing,
It's
two
decent.
pegs, and we can
It's
decent fun.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah. Fine. Fine. Great. Which is the worst fashion trend you have ever? Which is a fashion trend which you would not like to have?
Fashion is
Trend.
something which is alien to me.
But
I'm
you
not a
look fashionable
fashionista.
with your salt pepper look.
That's natural. So, but what I mean, I don't even know what to say to this, but I'd say that having like shitload of sneakers
Mm-hmm.
and shit ton of shoes or whatever. I think it's overly excessive. So I don't really feel that's like that's something is you know it's like everybody wants to right have these
Yeah.
many
Sneakers
shoes
and
or
boots, shoes.
sneakers
Yeah.
and shoes. I'm like I have a couple that's good enough I feel but trend wise I really don't follow fashion so I can't give you much advice on it. I really hope though counterculture era comes back in certain ways. The fashion from the
Okay.
60s comes back.
60s. Yeah. The retro fashion.
I sometimes I believe that, or rather, sometimes I feel I should have been born in the counterculture era. Way back the '60s. Bob Dylan, Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Even for us, even yesterday I was watching an old Hindi movie inspired by, William Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors called Angur.
Okay.
So movies
Angur.
like
Yeah.
those, where I want them back. Jane Bhi Do Yaro, Angur,
Yeah. Yeah.
Golmaal. So I like,
These are high
I
on
want to be
content.
in those. Yeah, I want to be in that era. So if any
Yeah.
fashion from that era comes back, why not? Side locks maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Side
Yeah.
locks was nice.
Actually, 70s and 80s have been an inspiration as far as fashion is concerned because the fashion which they had, it was, globe trotting at that point of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. And my last question,
Yep.
are you a more of a biker's person or you are more a person who prefer a car?
Very easy. Up until now, I have not learned driving
Oh,
because
okay.
I prefer biking simply because you can just move around traffic.
Okay.
So I
So,
have
which
not
is your
just taken
favorite
the
bike?
effort to buy a car.
Which is your favorite
Bike,
one? Yep.
I had a TVS Victor once. That was very good
Mm-hmm.
because it gave me a great mileage, point A to point
Yep.
B.
Yep.
Great economical bike, eco-friendly, so on and so forth. TVS as a line has decent bikes, but obviously, I mean, everybody loves the Royal Enfield.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so Royal Enfield is great. I have ridden a Royal Enfield in the Himalayas, but if it were up to me, then I would prefer a lighter bike. So
Mm-hmm.
it's too heavy for me. So, but yeah, I'd say favorite would be a light chopper, which is economical. I'm good with any of that.
Yeah, because the same question I asked to Deepak, and he said his favorite bike is Desert Storm, which is a 500cc
Uh,
Royal Enfield bike.
no clue.
So that's why I thought I
I
should
am not
ask you
into
that
it.
too.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not into speed biking. No idea about biking in general. Uh, I'm just a point A to point B kind of guy. If it takes me someplace where I have to be, great. Even in Enfield,
Great.
Himalayan is good. I heard. So
Himalayan
yeah,
is
maybe
great.
try
Himalayan is
Himalayan.
great.
I've
Yeah,
tried once, but yeah, it's lighter, so it's good. It's good.
lighter. Yeah. So yeah, it was a nice session involving
Thank
you,
you,
your
thank you.
thoughts, your storytelling, and
Yeah,
I think you have taken catch-up times to a newer height. I think it would be
I
now
hope
up
so.
to the other guests to match that level. So the level you have
Hey
taken
man,
up.
it's all good. I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
got their own
Yeah, I know
personality.
all are good. I'm not taking that compliment out of them, but I think there are people, certain people who add so much value in a conversation of 30, 40 minutes, then it takes the show to a new level. So I'm
Thank
very
you.
much
Um,
privileged and honored to have you on the show. And you have taken this show to a hell next level. And I feel I have learned in this conversation a lot how being determined, how being on your toes, how being, always there in the present. That helps you to achieve whatever you want in life. So,
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I've also learned a lot. One of the things is, not to have screen recording apps because they don't let you go Insta live. We had the trouble earlier.
right, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. Thanks so
And it,
much. And I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Great, great. Thank you, Srinivas, for your help.
All
And
right.
in future, if we want to do it again, we would definitely would like to do it again.
For
And
sure, for sure.
it's
And
been a
thanks,
great
guys.
time. It's
Thanks
been
for
a great
watching.
time.
Whoever tuned in, really appreciate
Yeah,
you guys taking out time. So
yeah.
I'll see you around.
Sure, great. It was great having people around with Srinivas, with the other people who have just joined and who have joined and seen the live. It's been a hell of a session. We promised you it's going to be a cracker of a session, and it did. So Srinivas didn't
Yes.
disappoint. I hope I have not disappointed you as well.
Not at
So
all,
thank
man.
you,
Not at all.
Srinivas, and thank you all the people for showering your love, for being there on the show. And great. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. See you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Sure. Bye. Yep.
Bye.